Hey everyone, this is Kane. Today I wanted to show you how I set up my virtual tabletops using the Runehammer VTT. I also wanted to walk you through kind of my organizational process for how I set up my adventures in my file folders so that I can have my index cards, my tokens, all those things that I might need during the game session at the ready and at my fingertips so that I can quickly throw things out whenever my players call for it or if the moment demands it. I hopefully can also get a picture of how the Runehammer VTT works as well. It's available to pretty much anybody with a Patreon account, thanks to the generosity of Inkren, who's opened it up. Anybody can log in and use it as long as they connect it to their Patreon account, whether or not they're actually a Patreon of Runehammer or anybody, even. So that makes it completely free to use, which is super awesome. But anyways, once you've logged into the Runehammer VTT, and I'll have links to everything in the description that I talk about. Once you've logged in and connected your Patreon account, you'll end up here on the Runehammer VTT homepage. And this is essentially as a GM where you can have access to all of your previously made games as well as where you can create new ones. So you can see up here in the GM drawer, I have some previous games that I've made. And eventually I have a video that talks about all these kind of things, but you can, if you're curious now, you can go down into the bottom right and access the FAQ, which will take you over to the Runehammer forums, as well as a more in-depth feature guide, which goes over all the details of the Runehammer VTT. Anyways, back to setting up the game. So back here on the dashboard, I can start out by entering a name for the game, and this is going to be the URL that you can share with your players. You can automatically or randomly generate something like that, but you can also name it something. So I'll name it something like Orville's Tower. Now, this is where I like to start getting things set up, because you can now, as part of creating the game, you can either drag in an image or you can click to start without one. I like to have images, and the ones that I like to have specifically are kind of concept art, really rough sketches or just banner images or things like that that really inspire the moment and kind of are a set piece rather than a battle map. So to start out, when I'm looking to start a game or create one, what I'll do is I'll end up going to Google and I'll type in something similar to what I'm thinking might be for that scene. So for Orville's Tower, I think a good keyword would be something like Wizard's Tower, and then I add on things like concept art. It's a good kind of keyword addition to it, and then you can go open up Google, hit images, and then you can start looking for things that might fit the image you have in your mind. A few other details that you might want to try is if you're not finding things, what you can do is come up here to the tools. I usually change things to like large. That way I'm not getting like a tiny thumbnail, I'm actually getting a full scale picture that if I needed to drop it into something like Photoshop or Affinity Photo, I'll have a larger image. And so this can be something that I just scroll around for. I could spend hours looking for concept art or anything like that. You can also add on things like concept art landscape, which pulls up and kind of gives a different flair to it. You can also change from concept art to maybe like digital art. That helps a little bit. But I thought I saw something that I liked last page. This is on the other one as well. This one looks pretty cool, so I'm just gonna grab that. Yeah, I'll just save the image and drop it into my folders. Now, the thing that I have about my folders is in my file folders, because the Runehammer VTT kind of file management is your own file folders on your computer, it pays off to be a little organized. So what I do is I have a folder in my files called Adventures, and what I'll do is I'll create a new folder in that Adventure folders for every game session or overarching game that I'm playing. So I'll do Orvald's Tower, and I'll just create that. I can also add in just the system that I'm running, so ICRPG, Orvald's Tower, drop that in, and it will download. Now then, what you can end up having, let me open up my file folders, is you'll have Orvald's Tower, and then you'll have the banner, which you can then drop into the VTT, and it's going to create this game. And it's going to change the name from Games by Kane Driscoll to whatever you named it. It's also going to change the URL up here, which is what you would share with your players once you're ready to play. And then it's going to give you your option to set your name and your color. So I'm just going to say Kane GM. You can change this just by refreshing, by the way, so don't feel like you're locked in. And you can change the color of your player color, and then you can hit join. So you can see here that I've added in that background, and it's my first kind of a scene. Now, before I get back and go a little deeper into the VTT and how I set that up, let's jump back into my file folders, which I have up on the screen. The thing that I like to do is I like to, again, the organization pays off when running it in the Runehammer VTT. And so what I end up doing is, I've already done this, so you didn't have to watch me kind of create it, is over here on my desktop, I have this kind of setup. And I'll just copy this over so you can see. And it's a series of folders that I like to use that keep me straight on what is what. So, for example, the landing page is the one that I just copied over, and I'll drop that in there just so that if I do need that quick landing page again, I can just grab it. The other things that I have is I have the actual maps, which is what I'm going to be using as the backgrounds for the game. And I'll go more into there in a second. And then I have my player tokens, and this is where what I like to do is, once the players have provided me with the token that they're using, I like to drop these into the landing page or the first page that they're on, and just kind of fit them into the scene. So we've got maybe a couple players, and I'll resize them or do whatever and set them up in a way that when the players arrive, they kind of, let me get this out of here. They arrive and they can see their characters, and maybe I'll have included a title for it. So it's just that splash page look. The other thing that I'll have is I'll have prop cards, any of my session notes, a collection of the ICRPG targets and timers if I need to drop it in. The Runehammer VTT comes with those. You can drag them out, but sometimes it is nice to just have the images and then individual tokens. So let's go through kind of a little bit of how that all works. So I've got my landing page. I'll have that set up, and then I'll start creating my scenes. I'll have my notes out, and I know that in Orvald's Tower there's essentially 6 scenes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this kind of one by one. So I'll come up here and I'll add a new scene, and what I'll try to do is I will try to get the background image either completely set up. That's another piece of concept art, and that's what I'm going to use as my actual background. Maybe not a battle map. If I want, I can use that as a background, but I'll actually find something that I want to use as just the background. So for example, I'll click on this one, and this is just the little doodles from the book. And I'll drop that in. Boom, there's my background scene. It's taken care of. Nothing's going to move it. It's part of the background. Then what I can do is I will come over to the targets. I'll pick a target, usually something like 12. Set that up in the corner if I need to resize it at all, and I'll just leave that there. And then what I'll do at this point is come back to my file folders and just my collection of virtual tabletop assets, and I'll start looking for anything that I might need, but at the same time, maybe not like everything. And I'll put those into my prop cards. So over here in my prop cards, I went through like all of the volumes of index cards. I found other resources that I might have, and I start thinking about, okay, in this scene I need X. Let me go see if I can find it. If I don't have it, then it'll let me make it. And for example, in the first scene, I need some rocks to block the way of the tower gate. So they're represented here. So what I'll do is I'll just find these, and these are from 2 Minute Tabletop, which is a great set of assets that you can peruse. And I'll just drop those into the scene and format them however I want, and just put them there. And now I have some tokens out. Now the other things that I might need are maybe some lightning storms. So I'll grab a card there, and then when I'm describing the game, if I have it out already, I'll just place it out on the scene beforehand and just have it up as a reminder. Again, let me get that out of the way. Have that up as a reminder so that I can point something out, include some description, or if it's something that I think might occur, maybe something like the maybe some fire breaks out. I'll just have that in my collection of prop cards so that in the event that maybe somebody casts a fireball or lightning strikes and it sets the roof on fire, it's just right there in my prop cards to pull out. And so I'll be able to do that. There'll be play, and then I'll do the same thing again. I will open up the next scene, go back to my maps, go to the next card, next background that I found, whether it's concept art or art that I made myself or a battle map, drop it in, and then start thinking about, okay, this is the scene, what tokens, what props do I need? Well, prop cards, I don't know, maybe I need a little bit of a glow. I found that again, 2 Minute Tabletops, found it, have it out, just sitting there as a token. And then I need to have a token out there for the monster that they're going to face, which is a feeder. And I'll go and find that token, and then I'll place it down in the tokens folder in my files, so that when they enter the room, the feeders aren't there. They're going to spawn out after a round or two. And so it will sit there until it's ready, and then I'll just, as I'm talking or as the players are talking, I'll open up my file and have it ready here on my desktop. And then as soon as they talk about it, I'll have it ready to drop in. Now, another trick that I have is that if there's a group of monsters that will spawn, and I know that they might spawn anywhere between 1 to 10 or however many, what I like to do is I like to, after I've copied them into my adventure folder, I'll actually just copy out a bunch of these. And so now I can rename them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so instead of having to drop in 1 and then copy, when I'm ready to reveal the monsters from the scene, and then I rolled the dice, see however many. So let's try that. So just 1. Let's try again. Just for an example, 3. It's easier for me to grab 3 of these and drop them in as a group rather than dropping in 1 and then doing copy paste. It can have that dramatic effect of boom, here's a large group of monsters, rather than, oh no, here's 1, copy paste. Oh no, they're growing. Yeah, it's a different feel to it. But that helps me kind of handle large spawns of monsters. And again, I'll have the tokens, and I'll find the prop cards that I might need and add them to the page. And that you can get more granular, but my goal is not to bring everything in the kitchen sink into my adventure folder. What I want to do is I want to look at my ever-growing collection of VTT assets and try to pare it down to the bare essentials of what I think I might need, rather than planning for every kind of edge case of maybe they'll do this, maybe this. It doesn't matter. That, like, I don't know what the players are going to do, so it's not worth my time to do it. I only want to know, what do I need as the GM, as the scene demands. Maybe one or two things that are likely to occur. There's columns. Maybe they'll break a column. I'll just find one broken column card and drop that in there. But I try not to bring everything that I can, because at that point you're looking through your entire collection, and the whole point of this method is to organize yourself to just the few things that you might need, and then if there is something on an edge case, familiarity with your collection will help you just kind of dive into the collection and find it, or use the search commands on your computer to pull it up and then drop it in. Or if you're really in a pinch, you can just use the VTT and just draw, that's a terrible column. Broken column, and you just doodle it out on the VTT. And so there's options, all sorts of things that you can do for that. And so yeah, so I'll just quickly go through, each scene by scene, picking out, here's the background, here's the tokens, here's the prop cards, here's the target. So like, again, if I know the target might bump up or it stays the same, I'll just drop that in, and then it's always there. And we'll go through each scene until we're done, and we'll plot it out. And that way I have a collection of cards, I have a collection of tokens, I have a collection of my player tokens if I need. Here's another thing that, as I'm speaking of player tokens, what I like to do is having these scenes planned out in advance. I know that the general flow of this adventure goes, okay, they're going to move from the top of the scene, so I'm going to include them here. This is where they start, and then I'll be able to move them in wherever they need. And then they're going to move down these stairs and then go into this door, which means they're going to end up at this door. So I'll preload all of the player tokens at kind of the starting point for the room, so that as I transition from room to room, I don't have to worry about copying them over. They're already there. And in the event that one player maybe isn't, or he's held back, it's a lot easier to just move him off or delete him entirely until he arrives, and then I can go through and worry about that token specifically and drop him in. So again, like for the next room, I'll open that up, come back to my maps, have my third room in play, drop that in, and because I know that they're essentially going to be dropping in somewhere over here because of the up, you can see that there's the downstairs, it's upstairs. So I'll come over here to my players, and I'll just preload them into that space in advance, along with any of the targets and any of the descriptive kind of index cards that I might need. For example, on the room, one of the rooms afterwards has some treasure in it. So what I'll do is I'll open the map up, add that room into the space, and what I'll end up doing is finding some prop cards, and I don't know, I had yeah, I'll just find some of the tokens, and I'll place them out as I need, describing, that this room is filled with smoke, and there's already there, or I'll have cards that I'll drop in as the players reach them. And so from there, you then have your options to hunt down music. You can find more prop cards. You can build out more battle maps. You can edit things from 2-minute tabletop, just things you find online, and then you have your whole setup so that you can go back to here, and when you're ready, you can share this link with your players. They'll log in as players on the screen that you're currently on. So if I'm here, this is the screen they'll see when they log in. So when I finish, I'll end up back on the splash page, wait for them to arrive, and as soon as everybody's ready and the time is upon us, we'll start and we'll get playing. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully that helps you understand, or at least give you some ideas on how you can organize yourself for the Runehammer VTT or any VTT. Really, not necessarily just for this one, but managing your files, kind of setting yourself up a little bit can help really run a smoother game online. It's hard enough to not be able to play in person, seeing everybody's reactions. And so doing a little bit beforehand can really ease some of the stress and the strain of playing over the computer. And you can get back into playing with your friends and just enjoying yourself as a GM and as players, letting the system and the software get out of the way of a good night of gameplay. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments or anything like that, and I can hopefully answer them. But again, hope that helps. Thanks.